Alright, this is recording for Sprint 2, and I'm going to show that the building's AABB right now, and my frigate is B-Sphere, and that they go and interact correctly. And this is what I have for my UML right now, how everything is set up. So then I have a base command for visualizer commands, and a base for the collision volume. And in my collidable, I have both a uh, box and a sphere. So we go in here, we have the volume type for B-sphere and AABB, and then we also have the collision volumes for AABB and B-sphere, because then in here, when I set the model, I just set it straight right here to their address. And then for visualizer tool, I also have the graphic objects for the box and sphere, and I created when the tool's made, and then I just keep reusing them. Then the pair command, now we have Visual Attorney doing a testing collisions in the visualizer. So we go through here. This takes you to the show collision volume, and this is where the debug comes in. So then depending on the debug, like for here debug is you send the box to the visualizer, which does show box, which this actually puts it in the broker. And since these are overlapping, right now I just have an if statement, so then if there's no collision, you send it to the front, and then if there's a collision, you send it to the back, because that's what's going to be overlapping last. And then we can go into the math tool. And I have everything between like, I would say 5 to 7 lines, if we're not counting the curling brackets. So like the check all axes, and I have one to check single axes. See if each one's true, so then this just becomes like an if statement. Same thing here, this is just an if statement, because then I have test clamp, which is another if statement here. And then I have intersect, and these are for the same type of objects, just switched around. Alright, and for my demo, doing the replay system, right now I have it all going into a text file, so I can play this, and this is for player input, and I can go and hit all this stuff, and now all that stuff is saved into a text file for each frame, so it's not like every 3 frames, it's literally right now every single frame, every input is being recorded. So now if I set this to false, so it's no longer recording, it's loading from the file, it will do the same exact thing that I was just doing before, and I'm not touching the keyboard now. So basically I have 2 lists. I have a list of Azul keys, and then I have a list of that list of Azul keys. So basically I go and I have a load frame, save each key to a frame. Once the frame's done, you save that current frame into the timeline. Load a frame from a timeline. Stop all keys. So this is basically for if we go into the scene. All right, let's see, record frame. This is basically so then if you're not recording and you're loading, you stop all the keys and then you load the next frame. This is so then the same key isn't repeating over and over again. And I'm also converting your Azul keys into Word so then it can be read by the send input. And I just go and grab all the inputs from the frame and set it into the send input. And then I keep that information, and then when I'm done with it, I go and stop it all using that same amount and just going through and sending them all to where it's supposed to be. And then I also load it to a text file. So the thing is too is I want to go and load it into a binary file. I have to go and serialize and deserialize. I have to figure out how I'm going to do that. If I'm not going to do that, then I have to figure out something shorter to do, because thing is to serialize and deserialize without knowing what the object is itself. Like I'm gonna have the user put in what types they're using to a function, so then the engine knows what to save, because it doesn't know like what the pointers are, it doesn't know any of that stuff. So I have to go and change that. That's something I will have to work on. Change it to a binary file so that it could be grouped correctly. I also need to figure out how to make it less data because right now it's very small just because it's only keys and I'm only playing for a few seconds, but it was already like 5 kilobytes after like 10 seconds of play, but that's only the inputs and not every single object that's in the game. Working on the game stuff, um, better camera system, being able to switch cameras because you're able to switch between third and first camera in the game that we're trying to copy over. And then we also have working on the score, better HUD. There's also like I want to add a distance between the player and the enemy to allow like a scale size for a sprite so it can actually be like a target that's on an enemy. Super basic bullet drop, which that won't take very long. That'll be less than a week. Score, I don't know how long that's going to take. Simple sound system, I think Fmod is the one we're looking at that was super easy. That it didn't take much work at all. So I'm gonna go and look up more stuff about that. I haven't worked on anything specifically to the game. I basically worked on how long it's going to take to do stuff and started getting like a timeline set together of how long it's going to take. And that's the same thing for things to do for my research. And then figured out what I want to do for each level for the scenes.